Well, hello and welcome to my very first ever episode of Day Tripper Daz. My name's Darren and this is a start of a series of day trips. Let me tell you a little bit the reason why I'm doing this. I've been a bit of a fan of recent times of vloggers on YouTube and the likes, and I've always thought, you know, I fancy a bit of that. But then it occurred to me, every time I watch these vloggers going around the world, they all tend to be about 20 something years old, and they all seem to want to go swimming with dolphins and sleeping with ladyboys. Now all of that's very good, and I don't wish to sort of knock that in any way, but I just got a feeling that there might be something for Generation X, like what I am, that might actually be alright. So maybe not quite spending 6 weeks in Thailand, but just going out on some day trips and enjoying some things a little bit closer to home. So I hope you'll come along with me on this journey. I've started today in the city of Plymouth, but you might be forgiven to think it's also the city of Morgan Signal. The reason I say that is because there's a massive regeneration project going on in the city of Plymouth in the southwest of England at the moment, and Morgan Signal seems to be the man who's been given the job to do it. I do hope he's got some help though, because you know that's it's a big old task, but you've probably seen from the initial opening sequence there's a lot of works going on in Plymouth. So what I've decided to do, I've set this as my starting point for the very reason that this is where I began. I'm a Janner. I was born in Plymouth and this is my hometown, so I thought what better place to start than down here in the southwest of England in Plymouth. I'll show you a couple of landmarks here which you will have spotted. Behind me you will see the tower, the base of Smeaton's tower. Now that's originally was the Eddystone Lighthouse. Eddystone is a reef which is off the coast of Cornwall, and when they built it in 1759 they discovered within about 30 years that the lighthouse was eroding and they had to bring the lighthouse down and replace it. But rather than getting rid of it completely, they actually brought it stone by stone over to here on Plymouth Hoe, which as you can see is right behind me, and this is Plymouth Hoe. And they brought the lighthouse here, and it's been probably the southwest's most famous landmark ever since. So that's the first thing. Another thing you might notice in that earlier video we did where as we were walking along to Plymouth Hoe is that you will have seen the statue of Sir Francis Drake. Famously played his bowls here before he ran off and started defeating the Spanish. There's been a few variations on that story, but let's go with the romantic side, shall we? And you'll also see Plymouth War Memorial. It's an obelisk. You can see it from here actually. There are 3 of these which are identical. They're obelisks, and they were erected to remember the people who died during the war who didn't have graves. Specifically people at sea would have been lost at sea, and therefore there was no grave to remember them by. So that's why we have the Naval Memorial here on Plymouth Hoe. It's a fascinating place. If you look out to sea here, you can see what's called the Plymouth Sound. It's like a breakwater even, which is out there. And a little bit further to the right, you'll see Drake's Island, and that's quite famous as well. Privately owned, and I believe there are plans to turn it into a hotel right now. So the reason I brought you here today is rather than take you around the town centre, which is being regenerated at the moment, and that's not particularly nice to see a lot of scaffolding around, I thought I'd bring you to Plymouth Hoe. We're going to go down to the Barbican, famous, and if there's any Americans who ever get to watch this, you'll find something very important from your historical past, and I think you're going to enjoy this. This is going to be good. So come with me, as this is my first ever episode. Just by the way, and I'm going to be boring here, you know what it's like when you get these vloggers who are asking you to put their viewing figures up to 100,000 or something. As this is my first ever episode, if I can get one like, one subscribe, one comment, I'd be so chuffed. So that would be great if you can do that, please. I'll leave that down to you. So we'll carry on our journey now. We're in Plymouth, and we'll work our way now down to the famous Barbican area, and I'll see you later in the show. So as we wind our way down towards the Barbican area, I just thought I'd stop and show you a little landmark as well on Plymouth Hoe, which is called the Tinside Lido. The Tinside Lido is in fact, or Lido, which sounds like a supermarket, was something that's kind of got forgotten and abandoned for many years. As you can see, along with everything in Plymouth now, it's under some form of regeneration at the moment. But the reason I know this particular location is my brother Ross actually helped produce a book with his mother about the history of this location. So by the looks of it, they're still doing it up a little bit more now, and in the summer that will be full of people. I think it's filled with natural seawater, and it's basically an open air pool. And we've got, I think, 3 Lidos in Plymouth actually. This one's right on Plymouth Hoe. You can see Drake's Island there in the background. But we'll carry on now, working our way down towards the Barbican, and again something very historical down there which I want to show you. So we'll see you later in the show. So I've made my way down to the Barbican in Plymouth, and I promised you a very historical site. This is the famous Mayflower steps. Steps that were used to take the very first people from England to Newfoundland in America and claim the land for Queen Elizabeth I. But there's quite a lot of historical background to this location as well, because not just was America founded here in 1583, this was also the same location that New Zealand was founded in 1839, when a ship called the Tory, could be Mrs. Thatcher I guess, set sail from here and founded New Zealand, part of our historical colonisation of just about everywhere in the world. I've also noticed here there is a plaque dedicated to the Toll Puddle Martyrs, which I believe came from Dorset, and they were Australian, bound for Australia, to be exiled there, as the plaque tells us. So there's a lot of history here. You can see across the harbour here at Plymouth, this is where basically America began. So there's a bit of historical information about that. Let me tell you a little bit more about why I'm doing this. I've mentioned to the fact that I see lots of people vlogging, which is very nice. But I think we can do some vlogs a little bit closer to home, and I'm planning to do that. And over the coming weeks, I plan to be doing all sorts of things, including going to regattas. I'd quite like to see them rolling cheese down the hills somewhere in Gloucester. And we'll try some adventurous stuff as well. I do like a nice pint of beer, so if I come across that, we'll do that, and a bit of food and some entertainment. And on this very first episode, which is down here in Plymouth, I'm even going to end my first episode with a little bit of a party at the end of the day to celebrate someone's birthday, which would be quite nice. So let's carry on now into the Barbican area, where I hopefully will find not too much renovation work going on, and we can actually enjoy some of the atmosphere down in this part of Plymouth. So we'll see you later in the show. So in Plymouth, and specifically down here on the Barbican area, you'll see lots of reminders of Plymouth's naval past, as well as its connections to the Pilgrim Fathers. There's a ice cream shop there called the Pilgrims Ice Cream Shop, the Crown and Anchor, the Naval Inn, or the Navy Inn, not the Naval Inn, that's something very different. And it's a very cobbled part of the town. It's a little bit different from when I was a child. This would have all been an open fish market. Nowadays I don't think it's quite so fishy. I think some of the trawlers have disappeared over the years. But it's still a fascinating place and a huge amount of history in this part. Now we're doing this vlog to really sort of get us going on our day trips, and we plan to do lots of different day trips. So if you're listening to this, watching this, and you've got any suggestions as to where I might find myself, particularly if there's a good event going on, then please let me know. And as I said earlier on, if I can get 1 subscriber, I will be so chuffed. We're going to go for a pint in a minute, but we'll just have a little stroll around the harbour as we find it here. It's a Saturday afternoon, but we are filming this in winter, so to be fair, it's probably not looking at its most exciting at the moment. Captain Jasper's, bit of a naval thing there. I think they play on the naval thing a little bit too much, but no, it's all pretty good stuff here. I remember as a child used to come down here and go crabbing, and that's not something I'm going to do today, you'll be pleased to hear. So the fish markets have all been replaced now with more tourist style shops and restaurants, cafes. I'm sure you can get some nice cockles down here. And as we go along here, look, there's some old telephone boxes there. Do you remember those? And there's no bus there. I'm hoping to find some ghosts around here too at some stage. I've got myself a hotel booked for later on this afternoon, but for the moment we're just going to have a wander around this part of the town. All the boats are nicely parked up there, and it's a bit windy, so if you hear that against my GoPro, you know what they say, I've got the GoPro, but have I got the touch? Now don't get me wrong, I think I'm alright, but it ain't going to keep me warm in the middle of the night. There's a reference. If you know, you know. Strolling down here, the 3 Crowns, there's a pub there. Plenty of pubs. If you want to come to Plymouth and have a drink, I don't think you're going to go wrong here. There's a club over there called OMG. I think that's a bit more sort of late night and a little more risque. But it's all pretty cool down here. I would have taken you into the town centre, as I said before, but it is so renovated at the moment. There's scaffolding and all sorts of things up in the air, so I don't think that would be quite so entertaining. But here we go. Now I'm hoping to find a pub shortly which is famous for its ghosts, and I'm also going to take you to a place which is famous for an old painting on the side of the wall. I'll show you that one shortly. We'll work our way around there now, so let's head towards that now. There we go. So I promised you I would show you a famous mural in Plymouth, painted by a famous artist who lived in Plymouth called Robert Lenkovich. I've joined some locals. Are you local?
I'm local-ish.
What can you tell me about this particular painting?
Okay, so it used to be much more vibrant than that. It was a spectacular piece of work. So yeah, Robert Lenkovich painted that. It was touched up at one stage as well, probably about 20 years ago. Yeah. He's died, of course. It was his studio next door, so you used to be able to see all of his works in the studio.
Is that where the yacht club is now, is it?
Yeah, that was his studio, and that's where he reportedly kept the mummified body of the
I've heard
the
about
tramp.
this. So he had a friend, didn't he, who died natural causes, I believe.
Yeah,
there was nothing dodgy there. It was just he died there, but he kept the body there.
Kept the body mummified. Yes, one of his skills, I suppose. And he had family, you know, he was had partners and children who used to sort of all live around here, so you used to see them. And a lot of the paintings that he did, famous ones like Karen in Blue, were all of these ladies.
Really?
Beautiful paintings. Yeah,
and was
a very
the
talented
decision
artist.
made deliberately to not keep topping up the painting, do you think?
I think once he died, I think it was him that topped it up, because this was all his area. And
Yeah.
I suppose just Plymouth, it would have cost a lot of money
To keep
just
it
let it go.
preserved.
All through the Barbican, you would find pieces of his works in cafes and things.
Oh, really?
On one of the walls might be a Lenkovich mural.
I've seen a self-portrait of him as well. I think he
Yes,
did
there
his
is
own self-portrait.
Artist in the Wind.
Really?
That was his self-portrait. Yes, that was.
So it's looking a bit sad now, isn't it, really?
It's looking very sad. That's never going to be restored now, I'm afraid. I don't even know who owns the building now. It says something about the bottom plot on there.
Do you think it would be a nice idea if somebody did retouch it, or is it best left as a historical piece that's just basically going to fade away, isn't it?
It is going to fade away. I mean, presumably it wasn't meant to be permanent, otherwise he'd use some sort of different medium, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Because he was a talented man. I suspect it was his intention that it would eventually disappear. All of the faces and everything are real people, Plymouth people. So
Right.
when he painted any of these sort of murals, he used local people as the...
And he would have been, what, sort of around the 60s? Would that be the sort of era?
What, when he
about?
died? Oh, when he painted this?
When he would have painted the...
No, well, it was the 80s when we
I
were
believe. 80s,
in
is it?
college, yeah.
Okay.
70s, 80s, I would think. He died 10 years ago.
It's very much a landmark of Plymouth, though, isn't it?
Yes, it was. It certainly was. I mean, people used to be just, you know, sort of standing here watching, didn't they, looking at it, admiring it. And the other side of house that Jack built, there was some murals down the side of that as well, of his. So you used to see them around the place. Yeah. And the house that Jack built was particularly, you could recognise some of the people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for telling me about this
Right.
today. And I say it's a little
It's
bit
sad.
sad, but
It's
having
sad.
said that, do you know, it's still here.
Yeah.
So even we've had the privilege to see it.
That's right.
And maybe for a bit longer as well.
Yeah. And there'll be photos and images.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you. So all this walking around the Barbican is thirsty work, and so it wouldn't be right if I didn't have a pint, like you do. But I've come into a very famous pub, which is on the Barbican, called the Navy. And this pub is reputedly a very haunted pub. Back in the 1800s, a little girl who was born in this pub hotel was murdered by an angry sea captain. And after he murdered the little girl, he then went and murdered the mother as well. You buy one, you get one free, but this guy wasn't hanging around. But ever since that time, this pub has been reputedly haunted by the little girl. And fairly recently, a group of girls who were out on a hen do reported hearing the footsteps and the various sounds of this little girl haunting this pub. I'm glad to say it's a little more peaceful today. It's quite busy on this Saturday afternoon, but I'm going to drink my pint and go running off to somewhere a bit safer. But it is quite nice in here. So we're leaving the Navy Inn now, and I can promise you that will not be the last pub I go into. There might be a theme there that might emerge. Just thought I'd show you this building here. This is called Island House. Allow some people to walk past me, like you do. Island House, which reputedly is a place where the founding fathers, the Pilgrim Fathers, were entertained on the very last night before they set sail for America. And now it's an ice cream shop, like you do, called the Pilgrims. You'll see a lot of references in Plymouth to Pilgrims, to the Mayflower. It's quite a common theme around here. But I'm going to take you up one of the sort of more narrow streets of the Barbican area, which is lovely. Lots of cobbles around here, very Tudor looking buildings. And I'm going to show you a little lane called White Lane. White Lane, apparently, now who knows if these things are true, but White Lane apparently is where Victorian women used to come down to eye up the sailors. And apparently there's a buttress somewhere down here where, because back in the day people weren't very well behaved, and they used to urinate. Would you believe it? For heaven's sake. It's called the Modesty Buttress, for obvious reasons. And that's down there somewhere. But now it's just scaffolding, as is everywhere in Plymouth at the moment, sadly. But there's some lovely windy little passages in this part of the town, and you'll see all sorts of things. Lots of artist things going on down here. I don't know if a Turkish restaurant counts as an artisty thing. Tudor house, tea rooms and gardens. Mad Merchant Coffee House. Again, with a bit of a nautical connection there, as you do. These are very typical of the back streets here. Now, Barbican Botanic's gin room. And one thing Plymouth is famous for is its gin. It has a famous gin connection, and I think there's a museum down here as well, dedicated to that. Oh, by the way, anyone who's ever watched The Prisoner, do you remember that? That's not the original bike from The Prisoner. Just sort of show you that, sort of like a penny farthing type thing, but it just happened to randomly be there, so I thought I'd include it in the show, like you do. Now, just a couple of things I was going to mention as well. Now, we had a pint just now in a bar in the Navy Inn, and we'll go to another pub in a minute, because I think we're going to have to do that. It's like that, and that's the way it is. I'd like to go to a beer festival. I tell you, the one I would really love to do is that one in Munich. Is it Oktoberfest? I'd like to do that one there. So it doesn't really count as a day trip. It might be a couple of days, I would have thought. Maybe a couple of days to recover afterwards as well. Just have a look at some of the things you'll see in the shops here. That looks like a parrot. That's a man who's lost his head, and a serpent snake. And it's very good there. It's also got the wrong date on the calendar there. Has it? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, lots of nice little things here in the back streets of the Barbican in Plymouth. Now, I've just seen a blue plaque there. Now, we can't walk past a blue plaque without reading what it actually says. So let's go and have a look at that one there. It's on the front of this building called the New Street Gallery. In fact, I've seen another blue plaque now. So what's this one? This property was restored by its owner. Oh, well done. I'm not sure that's that impressive. Okay, let's have a look at this blue plaque here. Oh, this property was restored by its owner as well. So it's a very proud owner who's been going around. In fact, not only was it restored, they've even still got a wet paint sign on the wall. Brilliant. Amazing. See, I told you this programme, but it's like David Attenborough, isn't it? Okay. Right, let's go and find where that Plymouth Gin place is, shall we? And then we might have some of it as well. Be rude not to. So we're back in the main part of the Barbican this afternoon, and we're now heading down towards Plymouth Gin. Now, Plymouth Gin has been brewed here since brewed, is that the word? It's been made here since 1793. It's been in the same factory in all that time, and apparently it was originally made, brewed, whatever they do, distilled, I guess that's the word, isn't it, by Black Friars, who obviously liked a little tipple, and there you go, it's called the Black Friars Distillery. So that just about says it all. 1793. Now it's a kind of a bit of a museum, but I think they still do the brewing here, and you can come here and you can do a day trip on your day trip a Daz visits and actually watch them doing the brewing, and I believe there's some tourists are getting well and truly involved in that. You can take a sample, have a go, and this would be very nice. I'm reading the plaque there. It says this early 15th century building formed part of the monastery of the Dominicans of the Black Friars. So I wasn't lying. And there's a big chimney up there. It's probably the last one that Fred Dibner didn't knock down, for a change, like you do. But we're not going into the gin place now, because I did promise you we're going to another pub, and I found one just along the road here. So let's go and have a pint in there, shall we? This is called the Queen's Arms. Not sure the Queen ever went in there, but we're going to go in there, have a pint, like you do, because it'd be rude not to, and then that'll be that, really. Thank you very much. So we're just leaving the Queen's Arms there, and I can promise you I did have a pint in there. But the only thing is that we're playing Cyndi Lauper True Colours. Not that I've got a problem with that, that's good, very nice. Only problem is it might be a bit of a copyright issue. So I thought I'd better not do any recording while we're in there, because that might be a bit dodgy. I don't know, you make your own mind up, but I don't want to face the wrath of somebody. And I promise you also that actually, after my second pint, I think we'll probably get a bit more fluent with making these vlogs, or whatever they're called. So look, I don't know where we're going to go now, except we're very next to a place called Friars Lane. Ooh. Hello. 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 What's the dog's name? So as we continue to wander our way through the windy little back passages of Plymouth Barbican, we're going to go back down to the actual harbour itself. I've got a little bit of time before I can check into my hotel, and so for that reason we'll just continue wandering around the streets like you do. Have some nice bins. These are genuine Victorian dustbins. As you can imagine, they are absolutely historically real, and no one can argue against that. So we're coming down towards the harbour. That's a genuine Victorian motorbike that's just gone past there then. And we're back down to where the harbour is. And very nice it is too. So I think what we're probably going to do is find the next place to have a pint. How about the Three Crowns? I have no reason to go there, but I have no reason not to go there. So maybe we'll do that. So let's head our way over there. So we've made it to the other side of the harbour down at the Barbican today, and I was going to go into the Three Crowns, but typically they're playing lots of music, and I think that will get us into copyright issues, so we ought to be a bit careful of that. So instead, as I show you the harbour from the other side of the Barbican, then we're going to head over to what I think hopefully will be a pub with no music on, which will be the Ship Inn, and we'll try that one there. We haven't eaten. Oh no, I can hear music in the background. Just pretend it's not happening. It doesn't exist, okay? You did not hear any of that. Okay, we'll move on very quickly. We're going over to the Ship Inn to see what that's like, and hopefully there's no music in there. And I think we've kind of like pretty much covered most of the Barbican here as well. It's looking very nice. It's actually calmed down a bit. I was a bit worried today about the wind. Not me having the wind, but the wind blowing against me GoPro. And that does tend to be a bit dodgy. That's bound to be a little bit impacting, but we'll get over that, and then we'll move into the ship, and then I think we'll head off back to the hotel, and that'll be the final bit of this part of the video. And then tonight we're going to go off to the party, so let's see what happens in this pub. And if they got music on in here, then I'm going to move somewhere else. Great. I mean, I wanted to make vlogging great again. It's going to be beautiful. I'm not sure if that sounds like Donald Trump or Bernard Matthews, but if you know, you know. So we've successfully made it inside the Ship Inn, and cheers, and there's no music playing, which is really good. And I think we've discovered the Barbican today. I hope you've enjoyed walking around this historic part of Plymouth, and I'm going to go and check into my hotel shortly, and after that I should be heading off towards my sister-in-law's birthday party, which will be very nice. I hope you're enjoying this video, and I really hope somebody, one person, just one, subscribes. I'm not talking about my 100,000th subscriber, I'm talking my first. And if you're that person, I'll send you a bunch of flowers or something, and that'd be really cool. So we'll enjoy our pint and then we'll head off to the hotel, and I'll see you later in the show. So as we head our way back to the hotel, or to the hotel for the first time actually, I just thought I'd just point out a little strange thing here at Plymouth Barbican. We're in Sutton Harbour, which is the Barbican really, and these are railway tracks. We'll find out more about this later in the show, but they go nowhere. I mean, they come along here, they come along, and then they kind of hit a brick wall. We'd like to know more about that. I'm sure there's a really good story behind that, but these railway lines are just very bizarre. Anyway, we're off to the hotel. I'm going to book ourselves in and then get ourselves ready, and then we can go out tonight like you do. See you in a bit. So you think this would be easy, right? I just walked into the reception of the Premier Inn on Sutton Road, and you'd be told, oh no, it's the wrong one. There's another Premier Inn on Sutton Road. Would you Adam believe it? So I've been told to walk down this way, and in the words of the guy behind the counter, it said you just shuffle your way in. Well, now you tell me if this is easy. So apparently I've got to look for a gate. Well, there's a gate there. Well, it looks to be pretty much closed. Oh no, there's another gate there. So that one there, we're gonna... This is not easy, is it? I mean, our idea that this is somehow a simple operation, right? Well, anyway, we found a gate. We're shuffling our way in right now. This is going to be really fantastic. It's the sun shining, I suppose. But it just seemed a bit odd that there's two Premier... Oh no, that looks a bit more inviting. Okay, well I think we've probably found it this time. But that's bonkers, isn't it? You've got two Premier Inns on the same road. And, well, I was just following the instructions. Okay, we'll try it this time and see what happens. So now you know what it's like when you arrive in a bedroom, in a hotel room, like you do. One of the things that you've got to look at is whether or not you're going to have one of these self-supplied cups of coffee, which are already there. And to be fair, I can't argue about the fact they've given me some coffee and teas or stuff like that. But I've also got a can of beer here. So I'm thinking I'll probably pop for the can of beer, just for a laugh. Now, but what I don't want to do is wreck this entire place. So actually, with a degree of what's the word? Self-consciousness, I'm actually going to open the beer over, because you know what it's like when you're walking around with a can of beer in your bag. It's highly likely that it's got all a bit fizzy and a bit fuzzy and a bit blue blue blue. So let's not take any chances. Let's open this can of beer here in the bathroom so that there's no chance of it actually making a complete mess of the show. So hang on. So I'm putting you on this side for a bit. Hang on. Oh, that's not bad. Okay, no, there was a bit of fuzziness. A little bit of fuzziness, but it's alright. It's fine. We're good with that one there. So we're going to drink that one. So here's my plan now. It's kind of like late afternoon, and this evening I'm off to my sister-in-law's birthday party, which would be very nice. Hopefully you'll join me there. So I'm going to have a little can of beer. I might have about put my head down for 5 minutes. You know the one. And then we'll see where we are, and then we'll make our way over to where the party is. So there we go. There's the beer, and I'm ready to have that and have a little 5-minute nap. And I'll see you later in the show. So here I am in the evening. Now it's hardly cordon bleu, but I thought I'd better have something to eat before I go down and have this party for my sister-in-law. So, because otherwise, you know what happens, don't you? You have too much to drink, you have a couple of beers, and then suddenly you go along to a party and you don't feel that brilliantly. So we've stopped here for a little spot to eat before we go off to the venue. and then hopefully I won't be wobbling too much when I get in there. So we'll see you later when we get to the door of the party. Bye. Hi Ross, you're on my GoPro.
Hello,
how you doing? Now we'll pretend we're skiing down a mountain.
Bruce, give me a
Oh, that's the Horse of the Year theme I'm just singing there.
Oh yeah.
This will come out rubbish because it's night time. But hello.
Cheers.
Cheers, oh boy. Oh, Ross, by the way, is the one who wrote the book on the Tinside Lido.
That, my good man, would have been my mother.
Did you know it's... your mother did that.
I helped to proofread it
and did
several
photographs.
times do the photographs, and I typeset the whole thing.
You did it very well.
And
And also, have you noticed it's covered in scaffolding again?
yes, I'm
saw-
not covering that bit.
Yeah, I saw that this morning. It's all
Yeah.
completely covered in scaffolding this morning.
They're doing what Mum had said originally would be a good idea, and they're putting another level on the main building.
Oh, brilliant.
And they got things like gyms planned and bars planned and all the things that she'd originally suggested.
Right, there you go.
So I'm very proud of that.
So we'll
No
put
one
this
knows
on
that.
YouTube, and then everyone will have to rush down to Plymouth and go swim in the
Tinside
warm
Lido.
waters, which aren't very warm,
Mhm.
of Plymouth Hoe, and then it'll be fabulous.
Absolutely.
Well done.
Come to Plymouth.
Come to So I made it back to my hotel room, and I think I'm kind of almost sober, so that's quite good. So that's the end of that. Now I've got one final thing to show you tomorrow morning when I leave the hotel, which is something is another World War II memorial, and I'll see you then. So thank you very much. Well, hello and good morning, and it's the morning after the night before, and we're on our way back home now, so I'm going to catch my train back. And I thought I'd leave you with this final poignant location that I found in Plymouth as we end my very first day trip at Daz at Charles Cross Roundabout. This is a church that was destroyed during World War II, but was left as a roundabout, left as a monument to remind people of the horrors of war and what it can do. And it's been here throughout my life, and I remember it very well. So as I start to recover and get back to a normal life, I really hope you've enjoyed this very first episode of Day Trip at Daz. I will be doing more of these, and I would so much love it. Not for my 100,000th subscriber, I'll be chuffed if I get one subscriber, and if you do, then I will love you. So please subscribe, please press like, please put a comment, and if any suggestions about where you'd like me to do the next day trip at Daz, I'd be more than happy to have a look at them and see what we can do. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.